Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Digital Bytes. I'm your host, Matt Bradford, Director of Technical Marketing here at Pure Storage, and you clicked on this video because you want to know how you can secure better funding for things like your infrastructure, training, elaborate offsites, conferences, lab environments, 2 words, pizza parties. And what better way to do that than by implementing Chargeback? So in this video, we're going to take a look at the different ways we can implement Chargeback or Showback for our storage using Pure1. So let's go. When looking at things like Chargeback and Showback for storage, we're generally going to focus in on the individual volumes because it's not like we're going to charge our customers for the entire array. I mean, when you buy a bus ticket, you're only buying a ticket for the seat that you're sitting in, not for the entire bus. Unless it's like a really fun party bus. Anyway. However you decide to bill your customer, all of this information is available within Pure1 under the capacity menu option. Now, if you are going to charge for the complete array, say it's like something massive like your radiology PAC system that needs tons of capacity and its own dedicated hardware, well, you can get that information here under the Arrays tab. But for this video, we're going to be looking at volumes. Now, there's a lot of information here, and what we use is really going to be dependent upon what our chargeback or showback strategy is. For example, you could just bill your customers for the amount of storage that you've allocated to them, regardless of how much of it they're actually using. But if you want to charge your customers based on the storage that they're actually using, then there's a couple of different ways we can look at that. The first and most common way of doing this is billing customers based on what they think they've used for storage. So when they open up their volume on that host, they can see how much storage they've written to it, and that's what they get billed for. But being storage admins, we know that we've got a couple of tricks up our sleeves like dedupe and compression that actually makes it so that we store less data onto the physical arrays themselves. So if you're feeling awfully generous, you can just bill your customers for what is actually being written and let them enjoy the sweet savings of your awesome technology. So no matter which way you want to go, all this information is available within Pure1. So let's take, for example, this ribeye volume. If we wanted to charge based on allocation, regardless of how much of that storage the customer is using, then we would simply charge them for the 10 terabytes represented under the size column. And if we wanted to bill them for what they're using, then we would bill them for the 2 terabytes here. Now, for those of you who are leveraging Pure's subscription services like Evergreen Flex or Evergreen One, then you might just choose to use the effective used capacity here because this is what Pure is going to bill you for these subscription services, so you could just simply pass that along to your customer. Easy. Right, so now that we know how to bill our customers, let's talk about how to bill our customers. So depending upon what level of service you're guaranteeing to your customers will also dictate what you're going to charge them. And tags are a fantastic way to manage all of this. So for example, let's take a look at all of our tier 1 arrays. So I'll click on filter, I'll select my tier, and then select tier 1. And now this is going to show us all of the volumes that are on our tier 1 storage. And our next step really comes down to a best practice in naming conventions for all of our volumes. So this could be either including the customer name or some sort of ID to link back to their account so we know where to send the bill. And if you're not sure about how to set up tags for your arrays, you simply go into your fleet appliances, click on the tags button up here, and then you can select one or more arrays and assign those tags directly. So again, we can add our tier 1 designator to these arrays. Well, that's got us covered from a capacity standpoint, but let me show you something else really cool that we can do within Pure1, and that is charging back for our power consumption. And we can get all that information right here within the sustainability assessment. Wow, we've got load, we've got power efficiency. There's a lot going on here. Hey, hang on, I think I can explain this.
Okay, so say we have an array that draws 1600 watts per hour and costs $180 a month to power. How do we split that cost amongst all of our consumers? Well, we could take that 180 and just divide it by the number of consumers, but that's not going to take into consideration things like capacity. A consumer that's using a gig is going to pay the same as a consumer that's using 40 terabytes. Not to mention, if we only have 1 or 2 consumers, well, they're going to be unfairly footing that entire energy bill compared to an array that has dozens or even hundreds of consumers. So instead, what we can do is we can use the watts per total usable capacity, which is calculated for us by Pure1. And using this as our base rate, we just multiply it by the amount of capacity provisioned or used for each consumer. And yeah, this means you're going to be carrying the burden of unused capacity, but that's just another reason for you to be maximizing the utilization of your arrays.
And if you want to see how efficiently you're utilizing your storage, well, that's also available within the sustainability assessment. We've got the capacity utilization metrics, as well as a cool comparison of your current power efficiency to the ideal state for that array, which is the watts per total usable. Now, of course, just choosing what data to use for chargeback and showback is only going to be half the picture. So join me in part 2, where we're going to take a look at how we can get this data out of Pure1 so you can implement it into your chargeback and showback processes. So thanks so much for watching, and until I see you in the next episode, stay pure.